Hello! This video is about our sixth sense. Yes, we have six. We do not have five. I think that that is a lie that is being perpetuated. I think that almost everybody has had strange experiences in which they just knew things that would be impossible to know, or they felt things. You ever just get that feeling, That is a real thing, and it's your heart. Your heart produces an electromagnetic field around your body, and we send and receive information via that electromagnetic field, and our heart picks up on it. It's a real thing. All right, and this person here, my beautiful wife Ashley, is the first person that really made me aware that the sixth sense is more than just a woo-woo alternative thing. It's a real thing and has to do with your heart. She has a book by a yogini, Shiva Ray. She wrote a great book about the heart field, tending the heart fire. Let me see it there. Yeah. Shiva Ray is currently dealing with breast cancer, so if you watch this and want to send her some positive vibes with your heart field, I'm sure she would appreciate it. And now I kind of want to let my wife talk a little bit about it because there's real science in this.
Well, I guess for me, I thought that this book was probably my first introduction to the science of it, but if I look back, we've always had that. Whether it's from a place of when I was having anxiety, I would see things be affected around me that didn't necessarily come from anything I was saying or doing. But then I noticed it had greater effects when it was something positive. Like if I was talking on the phone to someone, I was really excited about something. I was talking to my mom one time, and she lived 30 miles away, and she stopped me and said, "I just have to tell you, I am feeling such warmth in my chest right now, and I feel so good."
I felt that too. Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "No, I have not felt this good in a long time." And I just thought that was so neat because I was actually talking about this wonderful experience that I had had with healing and how excited I was. And I just filed that experience away. But then once I found this book, it went more into what was happening there. What was this, just some off experience, or she was just in a great mood? No, there is science behind it. So as our heart is beating, it's doing more than just the physical mechanisms. It's producing electromagnetism, and so does our brain. But our heart is so much more powerful. In fact, it's up to 5,000 times more powerful than the brain one.
So it's sending out and receiving signals basically just like a TV or radio.
Yes.
Is how I see it.
Yes, and
Yeah.
everyone has one. Even people that we would say are close-hearted or close-minded, they're receiving it too. Maybe they're not
ignoring
filtering
it
it properly, but they're receiving it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. I've had some stuff too, like, I work in the hospital and I see people in the ER, and I would always scare her because I would come home and I'm like, I love to talk to strangers about religion, politics, and aliens. And
everything taboo.
everything taboo. And she's like, oh my God, you can't do this. Like, you shouldn't talk to strangers about these things. And somehow I just knew it was okay, and I knew that those people were receptive to it. And not once, not one time did anybody ever say to me like, oh God, why did you say that? Every time they were receptive and wanted to talk about it. And you can try testing this for yourself, because I've done it for years now. I didn't understand how it worked, but I knew it was a real thing. I could always get a read on people, and it was always accurate.
So there is a place called the Institute of Heart Math that you can look up. They have a website, they have YouTube, and I want to read a quote from them because I think it really like sets the stage for what we're talking about here. It says, "The heart's electromagnetic field is believed to act as a central synchronizing signal within the body, an important carrier of emotional information and a key mediator of energetic interactions between people. Living and acting from a coherent heart state can affect those around us." So what they're talking about here is on an individual level, as we begin to tune into the heart and live from that space, that point of origin, we affect our own self. We affect our brain waves. We affect our respiratory. So we're breathing, we're thinking, we're acting in harmony. And so we create balance within ourselves. And then that extends outward. And then the next person we begin synchronizing with.
Yeah, I've given this some thought, and to me, it almost kind of makes sense. Like, why emotionally, like why would we biologically need emotions? It seems to me that our emotions are almost like a sense, just like vision or touch or smell, and the heart is the emotional sense. Our emotions give us feedback on our environment, just like our other five senses.
Right. So there's a really great quote in her book, and it's actually from, he's an anthropologist who then studied in shamanic practices, but his name is Dr. Alberto Villado, and he says, "The heart transmits pulses of electromagnetic energy and receives them. Thus, it is an organ of perception and can decode the information embedded within the electromagnetic field that it senses." So we're gaining information. Can we put it in a tube and study it? No. That's kind of the magic of it. But it is a real, measurable phenomenon. In fact, the Institute of Heart Math is trying to make it a science. That is their whole goal.
Yeah, it's science.
They are trying to say, we
science.
can study this. We can take it from woo-woo to reality.
And I think that that's why this is important, because whether or not you buy into the secret society, Illuminati thing, whether you think that's real or not, I think that we can all agree that we're basically ran by big corporations now, and you can make way more money being dishonest than honest. And the heart field picks up intention. It doesn't pay any attention to words or things like that. It only picks up the core intention. Your mind is the thing that processes the words.
Well, I think that we are entering into an age of discernment.
Yes.
Meaning there's so much, which is wonderful. There is so much information available. But how do we discern?
Yes.
So what we're saying here is not just how important the heart is, but also how important the mind is. So what the mind does is it discerns through the five senses, through information, input, it makes a decision, and then you make a choice. What the heart does is it discerns from the point of intention, the origin of those thoughts in the other person. What were they when they first said that, when they first thought that? The heart gives you feedback to that. And then the mind gives you feedback to all the other information. And what we're talking about here is not that one is more important than the other, but that we need to work to bring them together. And so during this age of discernment, we are making heart-centered decisions based on what we see.
Yeah, some people would call me paranoid, but I think that's why this information is so important in this time. I think that there seems to be a vested interest by many of the people in power to discredit this, to take the science out of it, so that they can keep lying to us. And I think we need to be aware of this. Our heart field is a real thing. You can trust it. I mean, I've talked to thousands of people over the years about taboo subjects, and not one of them was offended or upset. So I know it's a real thing.
You've had people thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking about this. So it's important to talk about. It's important not to raise one over the other. We must not put the mind on a pedestal, and we must not cut off the mind.
Yeah,
It is
they're
about
both important.
we must join them together, understand them, and use them properly. Right now, I think, is the time of the heart awakening.
Yes.
So, but we should not neglect what we have learned, the power of the mind. I mean, look at history. Thank goodness for our mental progress. Thank goodness for our awareness and expansion of the mind. But now we blossom from the heart as well.
Yeah, I think we as a society have gone about as far as we can go with just the mind. And the fact that we're ignoring the heart is starting to cause problems. Because, I think everyone, everywhere, agrees that they don't want war. They don't want to kill people. It's bad. And yet it keeps happening. I think it keeps happening because people ignore the heart field.
Right. So we're asking you, if today, take the time, place awareness, a light intention on the heart as much as you can, and think, where does that resonate? Does this feel true? Because that's really what it's for. And just try to come back to it.
Yeah, and accept that your feelings are valid.
Yes.
Don't buy into the conditioning of, oh, you're just being whatever, and ignore that. Because it's true, it's a real thing. It would be like ignoring your sense of hearing. It would be like, oh, what's that sound behind me? I don't know, I'm just going to keep walking, and then you get run over by a truck. It's important.
So if you'd like to know anything else about it, you could definitely go to heartmath.org. They have some great science on it. And then, of course, Miss Shiva, the amazing. Now, she practices yoga. I do too. Her style is called Prana Vinyasa Flow. It's a beautiful style. It may resonate with you. It has really helped me. If not, that's okay too. She has some beautiful meditations, hand mudras, all kinds of things. But yeah, send her positive energy. She sends it out into the world in such beautiful ways. And until next time.
Yep, that's about all I have to say. Pay attention to your heart, people. It's a real thing. You have 6 senses, not 5. They lied to us about that. We have 6. There's science to back it up. It's a real thing.